So what else would you like to talk about?
Yes, and thank you so much for your words and knowledge on what mindfulness is and why it is important. Our last question for this episode that we would like to address is, what are some of the different ways to incorporate mindfulness into our lives? I know that you mentioned that a lot of people might sit for a couple of minutes to collect their thoughts, or some people even do yoga.
Yeah, that's a great question. How can we be more mindful in our life? I think what I'd like to do first is actually do a meditation with you. Do a short meditation, and those of you who are listening to the podcast, you're invited to join because this is you don't want to just listen to someone be quiet. You can actually participate in this. And
Yeah.
if there are adults listening to this also, I invite you to join us too. And I'm going to just guide you in a meditation. And then once you get a little taste of this, then I'd like to talk to you about maybe how you could incorporate this. Okay. So everybody, this includes you. Um, okay. So everybody, let's find a place in your chair. You're sitting in a chair, if that works for you, but if you're sitting on the floor, that's okay, or if you're standing, you could be standing, you could actually even be lying down, but let's sit for right now, then we'll all be doing the same thing. And so what I'd like you to do is you're gonna sit up straight, and you're gonna sit in a way where you feel awake, dignified, and relaxed. So what would that be like? So it's not a military corporal posture. There's relaxation and ease here too. So just sit in a way where you know you're here, okay? And I'd like everyone to just feel their feet on the ground, and just mindfulness is paying attention in the here and now and opening to things in the way they are right here in your experience. And what's going to happen in this meditation, everyone, is I'm going to have you focus on some things. And then within a nanosecond, your mind is going to go drifting somewhere. It's going to have a conversation, or you're going to just space out. When you notice you're someplace else, your job is to come back. So we call these mental, if you could see me right now, I'm moving my arm back and forth like I'm doing an exercise with my biceps here. And so we call them mental bicep curls. And so I'm going to have you focus on something, and it's going to change a little bit as I talk. And then when you notice you're thinking about something else, as soon as you notice you're thinking about something else, or you're just spacey, your job, and you can redirect your attention back to what we're doing. And that's what you do. And you just keep coming back. My teacher used to say, there are no bad meditators, Gloria. You just have to keep returning to this present moment. And we can use that for our life. You'll be spaced out. You'll be thinking about something else, and you're doing something totally different. Just come back. Okay? All right, here we go again. We're sitting right now. Feel your feet on the ground, and I'd like you to bring your attention to your feet and just notice what it feels like. You might feel pressure or just contact with the surface. You might feel some warmth where your foot meets the floor or a pillow or whatever you have your foot on. You might notice you have an absence of sensation. You really don't feel what your feet feel like on the floor, and that's okay, because this is you're training your attention to be here, and you're also training yourself to just soften around it, to just allow yourself to feel what you feel, okay? And then you'll have some commentary, okay? Just say note to yourself, thinking, and come back. Those are those mental bicep curls. Good. So now we're going to shift our attention to your seat and feeling your seat in the chair, and just notice, maybe you notice the pressure, maybe you can feel your sits bones, maybe leaning one side or to the other, and just notice what you notice as you let your seat rest onto the cushion. And then bringing your attention to your arms and your hands, let them just rest in your lap. What does that feel like for you? What's that experience like? So you might notice body sensations. You might notice you have some commentary about your body sensations, or maybe this is weird, or whatever it is you're saying to yourself. That's thinking, everybody. You know, thinking. And then you just come back to just feeling your experience of just the bare experience of what it's like. Okay. And you're not trying to create anything. You're just being with things as they are right now. Good. And now I'm going to invite you to redirect your attention up to your face. There's tons of stuff that goes on in the musculature of our face, and it's going on 24/7. So when we're worrying, we get this tension in our jaw. We get mad, we get more tension in our jaw, or maybe our brow starts to wrinkle up. And so can we just breathe right now into your eyeballs and see if you can let your eyeballs just rest in their sockets without you doing anything. Just let them go. And then let them go around the eyes. And just notice what happens when you're not investing in them and you're just letting them be. Okay? Good. And then move your attention down to the jaw, to the right side and the left side to your TMJ, which is if you kind of open your mouth just also slightly, you'll feel that hinge. It's kind of in front of your ears, and that's called the TMJ. And there's usually a lot of tension there. So see if you all can just open your mouth a teeny, teeny bit and find some space in your jaw. Play with your mouth a little bit by just finding your sweet spot. And when you do, and you might notice your mouth ends up being open, which is fine, open or closed, either way, whichever is comfortable for you. Good. Good. So this is mindfulness, everybody. You're doing it. So now I'd like you to bring your attention to your belly. And you can even put your hand on your belly. And just feel the belly as it lifts and as it falls, as it rises. Once again, as it comes down again, it goes up, it goes, expands, it contracts. And just let yourself, so you're not doing anything to your belly right now. You're just bringing your attention and you're open and you're feeling the physical sensations as you have this direct experience, feeling breath coming in and out of the body. And I invite you, if you get sleepy or whatever, you can open your eyes a little bit and do a soft gaze in front of you or come to the front of your chair. And what I'd like you to do is just to feel the breath breathing you. And don't add to your breath. It's not like yoga where you might do pranayama or something like that. Mindfulness is being with things as they are. You're not trying to create some special state. As I said, sometimes you'll be mindful and you'll realize there's a storm going on inside you. Sometimes you'll be mindful and you'll realize you're really happy and life is going well and everything in between. So it's not trying to create a particular state. It's teaching us how we can meet all the many things that we go through and do it more skillfully, where we can be happier and have more ease in our life. So we're feeling the breath at the belly, rising and falling. And I'm just going to be quiet for 1 minute, and you get to do this for 1 minute. Feel the breath at the belly, lifting, falling. And you can even say in, out for breathing to yourself if that helps you stay more focused. Good. Good. And so I'm going to ring a bell here to end our practice for right now. And there's so many ways we can do mindfulness practice, which is what you were asking.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to do sitting practice each day so you learn a new habit. And so what happens is the more you do this practice, the more it will start to spill over into your life. You know, the more we actually are in the present moment, we can build those pathways. We can even increase gray matter in the areas that really help us in our life. And so We do these what we call formal practices. So sitting meditation each day is a formal practice. You could do walking meditation where we kind of just feel what it's like to walk. Usually, when most people walk, they're talking and thinking about something totally different than walking. So when you're walking, you walk and we're cognizant of what it feels like to lift your feet, to swing your feet, to place your feet down. At UCLA, I intentionally park my car farther away. And so when I'm done with a class, instead of turning on my cell phone, walking to my car like everyone else is looking down at their cell phones as they're walking, I'm not I'm not holding my cell phone. This is when I get to really have more mindful practice. And so I'm walking, but I'm actually feeling the wind as I'm going or the sun on my face. I'm feeling my arms swinging. I'm feeling my feet hitting the ground. Suddenly I'm thinking a thought comes through, "Oh, that's thinking." And then I come back to the actual experience of walking. Now, most of us know that when we go walking, we're thinking about other stuff. You're planning your day, or you're thinking about a conversation you had with someone, or you're going to a meeting, you're thinking about where you're going. I propose when you walk, maybe walking from your bedroom to the bathroom. Do it slowly and just feel what it's like to walk. Or, so that's we call that mindful walking. Anyway, there's ways to do that. So that's another practice. We do mindful eating. If we had more time, I probably would, or if you invite me back sometime, I'll do more meditations with you about eating, where you really show up for your food. You know, you really are there. So many people are so busy. They're just all over the place and they're barely recognizing that they have food in their mouth. It's terrible for digestion. And, and over time, you miss out on all this yummy stuff that's right here in front of us because we're too busy to actually appreciate it. Um, we can mindfully do yoga. Now, you might think yoga just in itself is a mindful activity. It's not necessarily. You could be thinking about your project that you have to do the whole time you do yoga. You could be thinking about a new relationship that just started that you're so excited about, or one that's having some problems that you're so upset about. We quite often we live in a culture where people, as I started earlier when I said we multitask, people quite often are not really present while they're doing whatever they're doing. And that creates a dysphoric state, which is one of the reasons why people might feel anxious, because it's a very unsettling state. There's more coherence when what it is we're doing, we're actually here for it. And it totally takes us to a different part of our brain. And this is the part that you really want to develop more. And it's for our own happiness, ease, and success in life. My teacher would say mindfulness is really great when great things happen, because if you're mindful, you actually realize it's happening. But how many things do you have that are nice in your day, but you're thinking about what's next? Okay, I got that. Now what's next? Rather than really savor. And savor doesn't mean anguish about it. It just means enjoy it and be conscious that you enjoy it. Be aware of what happiness feels like, what ease feels like. We're very aware of what discomfort feels like or anxiety feels like. But this gives us an opportunity to actually appreciate what we have in our life, which gratitude and appreciation, when it's authentic, makes a huge difference in our psyche, even in the formation of our brain, which is very interesting to me. But mindfulness is also good for when things are hard, when things are difficult, when we have to make decisions, when we have to navigate through something that's awful or people are acting really unskillful. How do I keep my cool? How do I stay more balanced, right? So mindfulness, because you're slowing things down a little, you're very aware of what you're feeling. You can have a choice how you're going to respond to someone when something's difficult. But when we're just on automatic pilot, things are going to fly out of your mouth and they probably won't be so skillful. And they can be hurtful to yourself, to another, and we don't want to do that, right? Okay, so what are some of the mindful activities you could do? You could listen to some music mindfully. You could just really be there for it and notice what happens. Notice how that feels in your body. Notice the kind of thinking that goes on in your mind. Notice the kind of mood it creates, right? And you can put on all sorts of music. Some you're gonna like and some you're not gonna like. And how can I be with this too? And you can practice, like, how can I it's not that I enjoy the music I don't enjoy, and I just breathe with it and know it's a moment that maybe isn't so comfortable. Can I navigate through that too? So mindfulness, as I have mentioned before, but I want to mention this to you, mindfulness can bring you calm and clarity, but most of all, it gives us the stability to be able to navigate life when it's great and when it's not so great more skillfully, so we create less harm to ourselves or anybody else. And it also helps us be more caring to ourselves and each other. And I know with this pandemic, we all must have some kind of acknowledgement that we impact each other. You know, my actions impact my neighbor. Their actions impact me, and I think this has been a big red flag of recognizing that there's this idea in mindfulness of interconnectedness with all beings. And so as each of us become more mindful and are able to kind of come from a place more of compassion and wisdom, and this happens over time, we can help others. And I will say, Ankita, you are naturally more this way. After,
Mhm.
you and I have been meeting now for a couple of weeks, your heart is huge and your mind is so curious. The definition of mindfulness is
Mhm.
to be curious and open and caring and kind in this moment with whatever is happening here right now, knowing that it too will change. You know, things aren't permanent. Difficult things happen, at some point they will end. When great stuff happens, it too will end and something else will be born. So, life is this wonderful adventure, and I find mindfulness really a helpful tool for navigating through it. And so you could do listening to music mindfully. You could, as I said, you could take a walk and just practice walking, right? You're not practice walking, but you're practicing feeling the walking while it's happening. You could have a mindful snack. That's usually my first assignment that I give people when they take the first week of a class. You could make your bed mindfully. In other words, be there for it. You could fold the laundry mindfully. You could wash the dishes mindfully. Would you like me to read to you something from Thich Nhat Hanh?
Of course, that would be lovely. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Okay. Thich Nhat Hanh is okay, let me just back up a little bit. This practice of mindfulness is from an ancient tradition. It originated in Buddhism, and the Buddha was known as a philosopher and a psychologist, not as any kind of religious leader. And he understood the mind. He truly did. And he understood the benefit of being present, that when we're not here, who is there? This is it. Okay. So you were asking about activities. So I just want to read you. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Buddhist monk who happened to pass away last week. And he's revered all over the world. He's kind of like the Dalai Lama, but he's from Southeast Asia instead of Tibet. But he's revered in a very similar way to the Dalai Lama. And so basically, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's written about 100 books. If any of you wanted to start off and read about mindfulness, you could get one of his books. That would be great. But I'm going to read you a little excerpt of something he wrote once, and I find it very helpful. And I use this in my classes because it's how can I really be present just brushing my teeth or cleaning my shoes off. These are ways we practice little things to help us be more present. Okay, this is called bathing the newborn baby. To my mind, the idea of doing dishes is unpleasant and occur only when you are not doing them. Once you are standing in front of the sink with your sleeves rolled up and your hands in warm water, it really isn't so bad. I enjoy taking my time with each dish, being fully aware of the dish, the water, and each movement of my hands. I know if I hurry in order to go and have a cup of tea, the time will be unpleasant and not worth living. That would be a pity, for each moment, each second of life is a miracle. The dishes themselves and the fact that I'm here washing them is also a miracle. Each bowl I wash, each poem I compose, each time I invite a bell to sound is a miracle. Each has exactly the same value. Each thought, each action in the sunlight of awareness becomes sacred. In this light, no boundary exists between the sacred and the profane. I must confess it takes me a bit longer to do the dishes this way, but I live fully in every moment and I am happy. Washing dishes is at the same time a means to an end. That is, not only do we do the dishes in order to have clean dishes, we also do the dishes just to do the dishes to live fully in each moment while washing them. I am incapable of washing dishes joyfully if I want to finish them quickly so I can go and have a cup of tea, and I will be equally incapable of drinking the tea joyfully. With a cup in my hand, I'll be thinking about what I'm going to be doing next, and I will miss the fragrance of the tea, the flavor of the tea, the pleasure of drinking the tea. It will all be lost. I always will be dragged into the future and never able to live in the present moment. I read that to you, everybody, because this is what we do as a society. We're always on to what's next, and we're very rarely right here, and we're missing the wonder of the moment. And it might sound silly to you, but it's not silly. It really isn't. When we're constantly on automatic pilot, on to what's next, we're never savoring and really appreciating it and enjoying our life. And it also does not light up the parts of our brain when we're not in the present moment. We're constantly feeding the part of fight or flight and freeze, which is plenty strong on its own. It really doesn't need any more amping up. It's quite well developed, and it's good we have both systems. But this is one you really don't have to add to. So I read this to you because we all do this. Adults, kids, teenagers, everybody. We're always what's next because we live in a very, very busy society, and we have busy minds and busy lives. And so I invite you to just maybe see, can I just come back to now right now? Or I notice I'm really hurting right now and I'm really angry and my friend was so mean to me. You can start to calm yourself by just breathing with that, feeling the ground, just breathing, and just be there with yourself and go, okay, I'm here with you. Yeah, that was really hard with that friend. Yeah. And you can calm down a little and access some of the benefit of your wisdom, of your caring, of your compassion, of making wise choices. Because when we get mad, we tend to lash out and then we do more hurt to ourselves and to another. And so this is not a practice to be nice, but it's a practice to really be your best advocate, to really learn how to be there for yourself in a caring way, and in a wise way.
I definitely
So,
agree.
so what would be an activity you would do today mindfully when we get off this podcast?
One thing I would do is definitely just being there, during dinner and enjoying my food. I actually realize that many of the times I don't even pay attention to what I eat, but I'm always thinking, what's next? What do I have to do now? Right? And I'm like, oh my God, like after hearing this, I'm like, yeah, I need to focus more on the present moment, enjoy the meal with my family, enjoy the moments we have together because those are very, very special. So thank you so much. It was such a beautiful excerpt you read, and your words are just unique, and I resonate with them too.
Yeah, and I would recommend with when you're having dinner, just maybe take the first 2 minutes and just slow it down, picking up your spoon. Notice what it's like to lift it. Notice what
Mhm.
the taste is like. Maybe look at your food. See,
Mhm.
"Oh, I farmers got that food together." Now
Yep.
with the pandemic, we're all aware of how many people have risked their life to feed us. You know, if they're working in stores or if they're helping with the food production or whatever, right? And so we can have gratitude. So I would suggest that maybe just for two minutes of your eating, to just slow it down and really consciously be present and just notice what's coming up. Remember, it might not always be nice. It might be, "God, Mom, I'm really having a hard time today. I didn't even know I was mad at so and so, and I am, and I'm going to just take a couple breaths." And then it's you have more cognition and you're in touch with your feelings, and then you can probably make a better choice as to how to deal with it. Because when we don't
Definitely.
know what we're feeling, we act out, everybody. There's a lot of acting out going on right now. And we want to live in a world of peace. We have to start by making peace at home.
Definitely agree. Yeah, so thank you so much, Miss Kamler. It's really an honor to have you on our podcast. I also learned so many things about mindfulness, and I do practice mindfulness, and I try to practice it as much as I can because it helps me to stay in tune with myself. And just explaining that and helping everyone out is just it's like amazing. So thank you so much.
Okay, so for those of you who are wondering how do you get started with something like this, I happen to be over at UCLA, and there's a it's called MARC, M-A-R-C, the Mindful Awareness Research Center at UCLA. And if you were to Google MARC UCLA, it will take you there. And basically, we have classes that you can take from anywhere in the world, and they're very inexpensive. And it's a 6-week course where you come 2 hours once a week, and then the program can grow. If you're interested, you can keep taking. There are more classes that you can build on this. It's such a great program. I highly recommend it. And you can take it, as I said, from anywhere in the world. And there's also on Thursdays, there is something called the Hammer Museum. And from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, at least West Coast time here, Pacific time, there's a it's a half-hour guided meditation. We used to do it in person at the Hammer Museum, and one of us from the department would guide people in meditation and also talk a little bit about what it's like. Anyway, if you go on the web and look up the Hammer and the guided meditations, or just go to the Mark website, and there it will show you all there's so many meditations and so many old ones and new ones, and that's a wonderful thing to participate in. There'll be like 300 people online at the same time. And the other thing I wanted to say is UCLA has an app. It's called UCLA Mindful, and it has many guided meditations on it, and I highly recommend it. It's free. Okay, I'm done.